UC Santa Cruz was called by our executive board to stand up and strike first. We're the first of all campuses to stand up and strike.
Okay, good afternoon. We're here in front of the entryway at UC Santa Cruz. And tell us what's going on.
Yeah, so right now we have a picket line that's at the base of our campus. And this is in response to the unfair labor practices that UAW 4811 has filed against the UC for unleashing the police on workers and other protesters at UCLA, UC San Diego, and UC Irvine. And so we're out here exercising our right as workers to take labor action in the face of that.
Okay, so can you explain how this came to be? How did we get to this point?
Yeah, well, we've seen encampments spring up all across the country in solidarity with the ongoing genocide in Gaza. And across the state, in California, we've seen this at many UC campuses. We actually have an encampment that's still going strong here at UC Santa Cruz. And so this came about after workers were, brutalized at some of these encampments just for exercising their right to free speech. And so that's really what ended up happening was workers in UAW 4811 across the state got together and said, we cannot let this happen. We cannot let the UC set a precedent that they can unleash police violence on workers.
I see. Okay. So I was speaking with somebody earlier who outlined some of the demands for me, and I heard that at least one of them is related to amnesty for student protesters. Can you tell me about that?
Yeah, so we're asking that the UC come to the table and peacefully negotiate with union stakeholders. So this would be like our executive board, which is comprised of statewide officials that we elect as workers. And so we're hoping that the UC will come to the table and will resolve these ULPs. And one way to resolve that, one part of that would be to grant amnesty for protesters, which would involve, dropping conduct charges, dropping suspensions, and dropping any legal charges that are against them.
Okay, like trespassing, for example?
I'm not 100% sure. I would have to reference the ULP itself,
right.
But people have been suspended and charged with a variety of charges. I don't think workers were charged with trespassing just because they're allowed to be in their own workplace, right?
Right.
So,
Okay. I know that was one of the more consistent charges related to student protesters on the campus at Cal Poly Humboldt. So
that's
I wanted
interesting.
to check with
Good to
that.
know. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I think maybe failure to disperse, some of these other charges. But at the end of the day, workers should be allowed to be in their workplace, and we have First Amendment rights on public university campuses. So the fact that those weren't honored is part of the problem. So UC Santa Cruz was called by our executive board to stand up and strike first. We're the first of all campuses to stand up and strike. And the reason for this, there's probably a few of them. One is that we haven't seen police brutality, thankfully, on our own campus. We haven't seen these student conduct charges or suspensions take place. And so we've been really able to organize here, right, towards labor action. We've been able to call workers and talk to them, whereas at, these three other campuses, UCLA, San Diego, Irvine, they have been dealing with the fallout of this police brutality. They've been doing jail support. It's been difficult for them to have to organize on multiple fronts. And the other thing that's worth saying is that other campuses could stand up at any point, and that's really, I think, part of the power in this type of strike and in this strategy is if the university doesn't come to the table to peacefully negotiate with us, other campuses will stand up on strike. The strike is authorized through June 30th, which is the final day of our appointment. So if we go to June 30th, that would mean withholding grades through the end of the quarter. But the strike could stop if these negotiations do take place and the ULPs are resolved.
Okay, thank you for that. I appreciate your time.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Not stop. We got the power. Workers' power. We got the power.